All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going out there? So we had a few minutes of having to scramble because this thing was not loading for a second, but I think we're all good, and we're going to be talking about the market. I'm back from vacation, so last week I did a recorded one, and now we're going to be seeing what is happening out there. And just to make sure everybody knows, Profitpilot.com, it's profit-pilot, profit-pilot.com, is where you guys can find me. And, I've written a newsletter earlier this week. Going to write another one this week and just kind of see what's talking about with the market and what's happening. My goodness, it has been just a mess out there, and it just kind of keeps going. So let's dive in a little bit further and see if we're going to be having some issues with this. And before we also get that, I'm going to be letting you guys know that on Monday the 8th, I'm going to be doing another Facebook and YouTube live situation after the market, talking about some of my big winners, how I made $1 million in 2 different accounts on the same day, and that was a few weeks ago, and then also some of the lessons that we learned along the way. So I'll show you some of the trades that didn't go so well and what we can take away from it, because that has been one of the things that I've been seeing that a lot of people actually appreciate. When I was doing my class, they said, hey, we actually really like that you show us the things that you screwed up on because, one, you're human, and that's normal, and two, just because you can always show us something good, that doesn't necessarily help us, because we need to know, because we make mistakes, we need to know how to get out of those mistakes. So I think that people really do like where I show, hey, this is what I did wrong, or this is when something doesn't look good, and this is how we need to pivot and just get out or protect ourselves. One of the things that I've been looking at with the market is the UVXY. Now the UVXY, it's hard for me to recommend to trade this, but it is I do use it for insight into what's going on with the market, and it has been looking interesting, to say the least, recently. I think we need to be aware of what's going on with it, as it could be telling us what is going on with the market itself. The UVXY is a leveraged ETF of volatility. If the UVXY starts going up, that means the market goes down. It can be a place to hedge, something like that, whatever. I'm just trying to show you that I'm seeing some things to where the UVXY seems to want to not go lower, which means it wants to go higher, which means the market wants to go lower. We're starting to see this progression of how I typically see price or any kind of chart start to set up. For those of you who are in the MACY thing, you'll start to recognize that this is about halfway through of an elf shoe pattern. And then on the 15-minute time frame, you'll see that we had a little bit of move up today, this morning, and then we're back down at the 15, and now I'd be looking for that to see if that's going to hold and if we're going to start moving up. This is what I spoke about in the live session yesterday. And then on the daily, we've just been seeing a lot of volume coming into the UVXY compared to that volume back over the last several weeks. So just kind of be careful out there what's going on. I think clearly you guys have all been seeing that there are so many names that just keep going down, and they're just not really catching any support yet. So good to see you guys. Tom, LaDonna, Imram, Gus, yeah, always good to see you guys. We got a ton of the MACY people in here with Facebook and YouTube. So then if we head over to the SPY, so far I've been getting this correct. This has been inverse trampoline moves right here. Price should not be over the 50 if the MACY indicator is below 0. So that helps tell us when these things are false longs or sometimes good shorts. Depends on what you're looking for. And that helps us, because what? We had a huge bounce on Monday. This was that big move on Monday. Well, for me and for anybody who does MACY and stuff like this, I mean, we're looking at this saying, nope, not going to go long. Definitely not going to go long, because it's coming right up into a downtrending hourly 50 with the MACY indicator below 0. And that's how we don't get suckered into something. And so far, that's been working out very, very well. We can see that price has not been holding the 15-minute 50. We got a pretty good flush down this morning. Then we got a little bit of a bounce. I'm still holding my bearish sentiment here. I think that we're still going to have a little bit more downside to the market, because I just don't see why right now the market would spring alive. A lot of names out there are not looking good, and they haven't even caught any kind of support. They're all kind of still drifting down. Now, of course, yes, there are names like REITs that are moving up. There are the reopening names that they're still moving up. I get all that. I've missed the first entry of those about a week and a half ago. And at this point, I don't really want to be getting into them, because I'm not sure how much they can actually handle if the market does go down. And really, I'm just kind of sitting on my hands, waiting for the market to finish its thing and get back into some of these more exciting names that I want to be in, and names that have pulled back and are now at fresh opportunities. So I'll be going through those as well. Back to here. Part of what I'm seeing is we are right here at the daily 50, and it might kind of bounce around a little bit for that. But I'm concerned that price might actually fall off of the daily 50, and if it does, maybe we go down to here, which is the 127. It's also maybe about the weekly 21. Let's see, the weekly 21 is a pretty typical place for a price to go down to on the S&P. So we're kind of looking at that as a potential target area. Yeah, it's bouncing today. I heard that there was news about stimulus. Like, okay, I think they were doing what, $1,400 checks to people up to $75,000 income. Whatever. So this is maybe a little bit of a news bounce. We kind of know that all this stuff is factored in. It's already baked into the cake, right? We know that stimulus checks are coming. Okay, we don't know how much. Like, fine. We know that 1.9 trillion is pretty much a green light. So all this stuff is already factored in. And I think what's happening now is the interest rates are moving up, and so that's putting some pressure. And the dollar is actually starting to move up, and that's going to be putting some pressure. So we're kind of getting a real big reset of the market. We've seen a lot of names move down in very, very large fashion, big fashion, straight down. And I think that we'll still keep going up, but man, talk about a reset. So I'm looking at this stuff saying, hey, as soon as this stuff is finished, then we can get back in. Yeah, nice guys. Oh yeah, a huge crowd over here. So Joe, Waldo, Espo, Dan, nice. Yeah, Jonathan, we'll see. Let's see, could you post your next ski itinerary so I can load up on SQQQ? Yeah, no joke, guys. This is now the second time it's like John's plane trade that when I go on vacation, the markets roll over. So I'll just work on that for next time. Denmark. All right, so we got a ton of people out there. All right, so let's see, kind of there, we got that bounce, just nothing yet as far as the long side. IWM, it's still, just not doing much. What I've been looking for is trying to see what price is going to do around the daily 50. Now, it looks like it's come into the daily 50, but it hasn't exactly touched the daily 50, so still be careful about this. It hasn't really touched the daily 50. And what would happen is we might get price to fall off the hourly 50 or hourly 200 if that's going to happen. And then if we look at the NASDAQ, QQQ, it's already below the daily 50. We know that. And I've been talking about this for quite some time. This is an inverse trampling move on the hourly chart. Price should not be over the 50 if the MACY indicator is below 0. And this is what I've been telling my subscribers over the last couple of days. I said, hey, any kind of bounce up into this moving average is going to probably set us for an inverse trampling move. And boom, it happened. I mean, we were watching this live yesterday as this was happening, and I said, if you guys want to go short, I think this is probably where we go short. And we've seen this situation too. Like if you look back a little bit, look at this. Right here is the same exact setup right here. Price should not be over the 50 if the MACY indicator is below 0. And we broke below these previous lows. This, this double bottom right here, we broke lower. And I'm kind of wondering if that's what we're going to be getting soon. So let's kind of look back at where we are. We are now kind of trying to do a triple bottom. I don't know. We're really going to have to just keep watching and waiting and see. Is this going to hold, or is there going to be a little bit more blood in the water to where they need a little bit more carnage to drop below this, really freak people out, get out, get the shorts, get the stops, all that kind of stuff, and get some capitulation. So that's kind of what I'm wondering is I just don't know if this is going to be something to where we're going to, kind of recover here and then start to move up, or is it going to be like one more plunk down and then maybe we can start talking about getting up. So as I said, we'll kind of keep looking through some names. This is about the time where you guys can start shooting me some names and I'll take a look and see if there's anything to do. Like MT, I think this is metal, right? I forget, but I think MT is metal and mining, and they've been doing pretty well. This is what I've been looking at right here, finding support at the hourly 50. The MACY indicator has been above 0. It's been bouncing off of the daily 50, so those are looking pretty good. If I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken, Vale is another one. They're one of the largest nickel miners, which Elon Musk has been saying, look, we need nickel. They're called lithium batteries. He's like, but we should call them nickel and cobalt batteries because they're mostly made out of that, despite the name lithium. So, Vale's kind of been hanging in there. It's looking okay. I'd like to see some support. I'd like to see these moving averages hold and all that kind of stuff. But Metals and miners have been doing okay. FCX as far as copper have been doing okay, but copper I think probably needs to take a break. This thing is really, really high up there, and we are getting a, well, not necessarily a sell signal, but like an exit signal up here. Price is getting rejected by the hourly 50 and the 15-minute 200, and the MACY indicators below zero. So do be careful when it looks like copper, FCX, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so Samuk, good. You took TQQQ and you exited, so it looks like you made good money on that. USX, I don't know what this thing is. Seems okay. Let me kind of look back just a little bit here, because I like to look previously. So this looks very similar. If we look here, like this area was following the hourly 200 and kind of stayed here with the 8 over the 21, and that was a nice move. So it seems as though that would be similar here, right, in this spot. So kind of following along here, the hourly 50, the MACY indicator just starting to come up, and it's following the daily 8 and the 21. So for now, I'd say if that thing can keep holding, say, above the daily 21, then it'll be okay. I prefer the hourly 50, but this one doesn't seem like it wants to really follow the hourly 50. And then just make sure that it actually gets past this kind of double, triple top area. It might be a little bit of resistance right there. So the other one's space. This is another big thing we've been talking about. There's just nothing to do here yet. There's absolutely nothing to do. I don't like to just buy the low because we don't know where the low is. People could have thought that was the low, or maybe that was the low. Is this going to be the low? We have no idea. We don't know what's the low until it actually turns around and starts holding moving averages. So something like space, yeah, we keep talking about it, but there's nothing to do yet. And hopefully you're not in it, because that was a pretty big move to the downside. And for those things, it's just good to move aside. Let's see, GSAT. This one's been another one that people have been talking about. Nothing to do with this one yet either. This is kind of what I'm talking about when we look at the market, and things are just not responding. Nothing's really kind of moving up. You can see here it's still underneath the hourly 50. It's still underneath the 15-minute 200. It's still underneath the 15-minute 50. Now, maybe it'll bounce off of something like the hourly 200, but until I see it, there's just nothing to do. So stuff like this, I'm just hanging out, watching them, waiting for an opportunity, and I don't see an opportunity yet. There is earnings coming up, so be careful with that. It could go up, it could go down, it could do nothing. Earnings are always a crapshoot. Now, Calm Minnow, nice name. Baba has been on my list. I was looking at this, and mostly what I was looking at was on the daily chart. This looks to me like this is a potential double bottom with positive divergence. So it did make it on my list, but it has not done anything yet. It has not reversed yet. I can't call this a reversal yet. You are still underneath the 15-minute 50. Now, maybe tomorrow is different, something like that, great. But I can't actually confirm that this is the low yet. It's bounced, but what difference is this bounce from this bounce or this bounce? I don't know. Nothing yet. So that's why I don't want to be taking a trade like this and say I think this is the bottom. Has not confirmed that it's the bottom. It's still underneath these moving averages. Nothing has confirmed. Yes, it is getting extended to the downside. Yes, it is here outside of the third ATR, and yes, it's coming into all this stuff, but it has not stopped going down yet. So give it a little bit more time. I've got my rules. This is what I talk to the MACY subscribers, anybody who takes my classes about exactly what we're looking for. We got the checklist. That way, make sure that you guys don't look at something like this and kind of get FOMO and jump into something before it's actually ready. I got the rules and it all makes sense. So yeah, just nothing yet here. Let's see. I got 2 requests for MU. Kind of just chugging along. The only issue I have with something like MU is that it is very extended. So oftentimes they get a little extended here, pull back. Get extended here, pull back. It's kind of getting up there again. It's kind of getting up there. The other thing I see here is look at the hourly chart. You see how price moved up, and you see how the MACY indicator kind of went up like that and then flat? Not very good. And look here, it's kind of doing it again, where you have lack of support. Price keeps moving up. Notice that the MACY indicator kept going flat. So that's kind of telling me that, this thing might be running out of energy, might be kind of running out of some steam, because it's pretty far up there. It's starting to get choppy. It doesn't look very smooth. And right here, I'm actually starting to see that price is starting to get underneath the 15-minute 50, and you had some negative divergence. So do be careful with MU. I'd be really cautious about that one, depending on what your situation is. And actually, it reminds me of IDEX. If we look at IDEX, Look at this. Notice the same thing. See how the MACY indicator basically was going flat even though price was going up? At some point that comes to an end. And I was able to call that one in our live trading session a couple weeks ago, like to the day. Trading SJK knows what I'm talking about, but right here, got extended, and then look here, this is where it broke. Got underneath the 15-minute 50, and then that was it, started trending down. So do be careful with MU. I'm seeing kind of the same situation, and it's already started to break the 15-minute time frame. Now, since I'm on this one, we'll kind of talk about this because this is what I'm trying to look at for a lot of the tickers out there. Is there support? Are we going to find strength? Like, what is going on? I'd like to say that a lot of individual names have started to try to base and kind of find support. You know, like look here, in this case, IDEX is at the daily 50. You can see here that it's basically trying to hammer out a bottom. We are trying to do some divergences, but it hasn't held anything. This is what I'm talking about with BABA and some of the other ones that we're trying to turn around. They haven't held. I mean, they have not held these moving averages. They have not held these moving averages. Now, they could be very close to doing so, but they haven't confirmed yet. So we still have to just be a little bit more patient while this stuff is going on. All right, let's see. CPE. Oh, very nice. Very nice, Mo. Good job on that one. I was getting a little nervous for you up here because, you know, it's been holding the hourly 50. That's good. But it was getting a little bit choppy, and it is very extended up here. I also don't like to hold around earnings, but hey, that thing seemed to work out, and it's doing well. Just do be careful. I will say that even though this has been doing well, just do be careful that it is getting to these areas where it's pretty high. It's very extended, and it just makes me a little bit nervous being on up there. These things don't last forever. And let's see if I can even see anything about USO. I don't know how correlated some of these things are going to be to USO, but USO is now underneath the hourly 50, and the MACY indicator is below 0. We could be in for some weakness right here. You know, we could be bouncing off here, but then what if we roll over a little bit like that? It could be starting to form potentially a double top. Don't know, but that's what we look for. I don't see anything terrible with CPE yet, and it's doing well. All right, let's see. So MACY's for part of the reopening play. Okay, looking all right. 8 is over the 21. That looks pretty good. And on earnings, it actually looks like it just kind of came down, touched the daily 50 a bit. And here, I like the positive divergence on the MACY indicator there. And as long as this can kind of hold the hourly 200 and the hourly 50, I'd say this is good because I like that this was nice into here and then moving up like that. Some of the names I'm actually looking at. So with MACY, we got EXPR. You know, this was one of those part of the GameStop Reddit squeeze that happened. So that was a big move, and then it's kind of recovered. I'm still kind of looking at this. I'm thinking, hey, what's going on with this daily chart? You look here, it's not really following the rest of the market, is it? Like, it's already kind of done its down move. And you can see here we bounce off the daily 50, and now we're trying to come back down here, and we're trying to see if there's some support. So again, it's not ready yet because it's still underneath these moving averages, but it sure looks to me like it's trying, and it's not exactly following the rest of the market. Another one is Fossil. You can see Fossil actually looks pretty similar to MACY's right now, and the fact that it's kind of just hovering right here. It does have earnings coming up. It does have a squeeze. So this kind of looks interesting. I do have my eyes on stuff like this. I just I don't usually like to go long when the market is having a real hard time because it really just messes with a lot of things. Some of the other stuff we look at, yeah, I see some ACB and some of the cannabis. I feel like these names have done their pullback, but again, broken record here. Nothing is quite holding their moving averages yet. Like they're trying to bottom, just like IDEX, but man, they're just not doing anything yet. This is a potential trampoline move on the daily chart. That's when price is below the 50, but the MACY indicator is above 0. We've got the stochastic down at the bottom. We've got the stochastic down at the bottom. We're trying to hammer out a bottom here. We're trying to do that. We've got some positive divergence on the 15. Like these things are trying to turn around, but they just haven't yet. So I've got my rules, I got my procedures, I know what I'm looking for, and so far just nothing's there, and we just have to kind of keep waiting to say, okay, what's the thing that's going to cause this stuff to get going? Tilray looks a little bit better. SNDL looks about the same as Tilray. You can see kind of go through here, let me open this up a bit right there. You can see that at least what's happening is price is starting to get over the hourly 50 and start to look like it's using it for support. The MACY indicator has been above 0 for a while. That looks good. However, price is still below the moving average on the 15-minute time frame. And, I just don't see any real gusto yet. We should start to see some clarity before these things really get going. And they're just not here yet. All right, so JetBlue, it's kind of in the jet airliner space. This is the thing that I missed, is that 2 weeks ago when everything started to sell off, maybe it was over 2 weeks ago at this point, all my names started to sell off. This is the beginning of that pullback. The reopening names are what actually started taking off, no pun intended. So JetBlue, the airliners, the hotels, cruise lines, casinos, all those are the ones that started to move up. Now, they've had a good move here as they bounced off of the hourly 50. Good move, solid, nice. But then they got a little too extended up here. Very, very extended. You can see here they jumped the shark up here on the daily chart. They got really far away from the moving averages, all that kind of stuff, and then they came back down. Now, it will be curious. I will be interested to see, now that they're starting to come back down to, say, the daily 8 EMA, and they've kind of done a trampoline move here on the hourly chart, will these things be able to recover and actually keep moving up? They've got a lot of momentum behind them. The reopening plays seem to be doing well, and there are a lot of names in this sector that are still doing well. So JetBlue seems like it's doing all right. We look at Wynn, it's been bouncing off of the hourly 50, seems to be doing all right, and right now it is holding. You can see here it's been holding the 15-minute 50. So, they seem a little high up there for me on the daily, but maybe something like this, you just kind of have to hold your nose and say, well, as long as they keep going up, then they're great. The reopening names really do seem to be where the thing is. I heard that, I think Texas and Florida, of course, the two states that are more, I guess anti-COVID or more liberal about these policies, they have been saying, hey, we're going to open everything back up. Like the vaccines are coming out there. Biden has been talking about the vaccines a lot. And so I think that these names, the reopening names, are starting to catch extra momentum because of the vaccines and whatnot. So let's see, DKNG, that's another hot one. I'm waiting for an opportunity on this one. There was one last week, just after earnings. Again, I didn't catch it, but at this point, I see that this looks very similar to this, and so I'm waiting for an opportunity. I can't go buy this thing up there because it's just too high, too extended. It's very far away from moving averages, so I want to see price come back down to the hourly 50, maybe right there, wherever that ends up being, but I can't buy something that is that high. Otherwise, if you're in it, great. Be prepared for a pullback, and if you can still ride out that pullback, then buy more. It looks like it would be good. Let's see, ZM, come on, where's my cursor? There we go. ZM, kind of a surprise, and ZM maybe is actually getting pummeled because of the reopening names. Like, think about it. We had the COVID names, right? We had the stocks that were going to do well because COVID was here. The work from home, the shop from home, the everything online kind of stuff. Now that the vaccines and the economy is starting to roll out, maybe these COVID names are actually going to start suffering because people are like, hey, I don't need to use Zoom as much because I can go to work. Maybe that's the thing. I can go see my family members, so I don't need to go use Zoom. They did just have blowout numbers. Of course they had blowout numbers. Why not? Like, everyone's using them. But what the sentiment might be that if the vaccines come out and we all get back to normal life, Zoom might suffer. So I think that might have been a reaction to this. That's why things went down. I don't see an entry yet. We'll have to see if this is a double bottom. We will have to see if the daily 200 actually holds and see if this is positive divergence. I don't see it yet. It might continue to move up, but I think we need to be aware of kind of what's going on in the background of why are some of these names moving and what our society is doing. COVID, anti-COVID, vaccine, all those kind of things. Jonathan, yeah, I keep the 15, the 5, and the 2-minute chart on a separate screen. I do occasionally look at it, but for the most part, 15 is the smallest time frame that I go to. All right, let's see, BIIB. That looks like a giant mess. Sorry, that looks like a giant mess. I don't want to trade that. IVR. Yeah, I think this is a REIT, right? Yeah, mortgage. So again, with the reopening play, something like this should hopefully get moving. It does seem decent. It just bounced off the daily 50. It's trying to hold. And it just bounced off of an uptrending hourly 50 with the MACY indicator above zero. So yeah, if you like that, I don't know how exciting it'll be, but yeah, it looks like it's good. Along with that is SKT. SKT. I did see that this one was starting to move up. This is another REIT situation. And it actually had a pretty good look at that. It did a nice flag right into the hourly 50 and then popped up. So there's your, everything was looking good. There's your positive divergence off of that double bottom. So yeah, maybe I'll have to go chase that one. But SKT, if you guys want to look into some REITs again, think reopening plays. Those are doing pretty well. Let's see, TGT. Oh, earnings. So I don't trade earnings. This is why I don't trade earnings, because you never know what's going to happen. And there's just been nothing here. It's been falling through the daily 50. I was talking about this in the options room a while ago. I was talking about it right about here to see if that was going to work. It never did. And this is really what I warned our subscribers. I said, hey, I might see something, but until it actually confirms, until it actually triggers, learn the lessons that I had to learn as a young trader. And just because you see something starting to set up doesn't mean that it actually has set up. And while I saw potential, it never actually held. And so if I was in it, you have to get out. It just didn't work. Like, right? It was right about here that we were speaking. And then you can see here, it did not hold, and it just kept going down, down, down. You just got to get away from something like that. And then, for the earnings, it went down on earnings. I'm like, okay, so I don't trade earnings. Like, whatever. And at this point, maybe there's going to be an oversold bounce, but there's just nothing to really see here. All right, PLNT, another one of the reopening plays. I have been watching this. I was considering taking a trade right here after earnings, because that's a trampoline move when price is below the 50, but the MACY indicator is above zero. But I didn't have much faith in it. I didn't really know what it was going to be doing. As it turns out, it did move. Then it pulled back, and this might actually be a nice reload. So something around here, price below the hourly 50, and the MACY indicator still above zero, that might actually end up being a good trade. And you can see here on the daily, right there, it's coming right back down to the top of the previous price, and this daily chart looks like it wants to keep going. So yeah, Planet Fitness might actually be a good trade. Now, the kind of things that I'm going to have to decide is, do I want to keep waiting for these other names that I think have a little bit more gusto to them, or should I just go ahead and take some of these trades here? While they may not be the most exciting, but they will start provide something, some sort of counterbalance to whatever is not working during this market time. ESPO, XPEV, not working. I mean, there's just nothing to say about that. It is getting to the point where it's oversold, but there's earnings coming up, like who knows? There's just nothing to say. We took a trade on this and we got stopped out very quickly, because right up there is when it stopped to work. And thank goodness. Like, this is why I like stops, because it meant I was wrong, it didn't work out, and poof, I'm glad I'm out. So yeah, nothing to do with XPEV. QS is another one. It's not like, sorry guys, broken record here, but these things are just not doing anything. They're just not doing anything. I was hopeful about this one. I led people into a trade here, and then it got overbought and pulled back, and there's just been nothing. This is a potential trampoline move because price is below the 50 and the MACY indicator is still barely above zero, but nothing. And I think that they might have a bit of a lawsuit going for them, because they're getting sued for kind of over-representing what their actual invention was. So do be careful. There might be some legal stuff surrounding them. Other than this, it's just getting rejected by the moving averages. It has not found any support. So nothing to do there. Mo, let's see, INO is kind of the same thing, like, once again, why I like to use stops. I tried taking a trade right in through there because I saw a price bouncing off of the hourly 50. Well, you know what? When it fell off of the hourly 50 and when it got trapped by the 15-minute 50, trade was over. And we stepped aside, and thank goodness I did, because this thing just keeps going down. Where is it going to find some support? I have no idea. Guys, this is what I'm trying to talk about. I have no idea what's going on with this stuff. Like, they just keep going down. This has been brutal, absolutely brutal. And I don't know where the bottom is. Like, we keep looking at this and like, it's just not turning around. So until we can see them turn around, there's just nothing to do here. Maybe if you want to keep hanging on to them, maybe the stuff will turn around, but there's just no sight of it yet. That's really the problem that I'm having, is there's just no sign of a lot of these names turning around yet, and it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. I wish these things would do well. Randy, nice. Yeah, Moxie has brought me a lot more patience. Really appreciate it. Good job, man. Glad that's working out for you. Oh, yeah, ton of names. I just can't even get through all this. Trying to see if there's any other one that I really want to be. Oh, sorry. There's just not a ton of names out here. I think that we're just having a whole lot of issues with the market, you know? So do be careful. There are a handful of names that are doing well out there and like kind of moving up, but I'm really kind of concerned because I do think that we're going to get another flush down on the market, and I don't know how much of a headwind these other names can handle. So, you know, be careful out there. I'm being very cautious. I'm a little timid right now, so to speak, and that's about all I can say. So, for now, if you guys want me to be able to run through more names and kind of see how I do this and teach you and show you how to do this stuff, you know, that's what my classes and my alert service are for. So go check it out, and then yeah, profit-pilot.com. Poke around there. And other than that, I'll see you guys next week.